The way you talk to yourself, that silent, constant language you have in your head, shapes the choices you make and how much stress you carry, and even how your body responds physically. Self talk isn't just mental chatter, it's a powerful force that can either drain your health or strengthen it. Today, we're going to talk about how self talk acts as an internal script that drives behavior, often without us realizing it. It's kind of like your operating system of your brain. And we're also going to talk about why certain phrases like I should and I'm just not that kind of person who can do da 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 da. This can increase stress and sabotage your progress. And then we're going to obviously give you some ideas on how to improve your self talk. So, Dr. Teplow, why is self talk so important?
Well, it's important because, as you said, it does shape our behavior. And I think we're discovering more about animals. But one thing is that animals, we know, communicate even using sound. So they quote talk. But we can use symbolic language is symbolic also. So our self-talk is powerful because of what it represents, the meanings it represents. It's not just kind of a superficial go fast, go slow, come here, go there. There's food. It connects to memory, all different kinds, and it also does define what we do in the future. It can define what we do in the future and shape our attitudes.
Yeah, what came to mind when we were thinking about this podcast was, I love the Lisa Feldman Barrett, the neuroscientist that she wrote, How Emotions Are Made. And writes about the theory of constructed emotions and says that our brains are prediction machines and that, we don't react to the environment, but we actually predict it. And I think that's really kind of similar to the self-talk piece that you're talking about. Self-talk is symbols and emotions.
Absolutely. That's a really good point to bring up because when we say, oh, I can't do it, then if we're presented with the opportunity to do it, but we know we can't do it, we haven't imagined being able to do it, we have no confidence that we can do it, we haven't prepared for doing it. And so we're just left out in the cold, so to speak. And I think, Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset
Mhm.
applies here for kids who go, I can't do it. They don't even try. Kids who say, well, I don't know if I can do it. And if I screw up, I'll try again. They have more of a growth mindset instead of fixed. I am this way, therefore I cannot change. And her work is seminal because it showed the plasticity of kids' brains.
Yeah, and that self-talk comes into play all the time, every day. And when we talk about that, we're talking to ourselves, and oftentimes even actually says we talk to ourselves, but sometimes it's when we're talking out loud to other people, we're just actually giving our self talk our entire internal dialogue. I think that's often interesting. So you're what you say even to yourself, even to out loud, is a similar self-talk because they say I can't do that, whether I say it internally or externally. I can't do that right now. Again, leaves the door open there. And so, yeah, it's internal self-talk, but it's also the external self-talk as I'm
Right,
talking.
right. Yeah, whatever's going in there comes out either our mouth or our behaviors. So, that's the thing is if I keep thinking I can't do it, then I won't do it. And so that's, it's so powerful. And can you change it? So that's a question.
Yeah, when I think about how I use self-talk, whether when I'm as an entrepreneur, that's there's so many things that you're questioning, and you have to have both the ability to imagine these things that you want to bring into the world, but also have to face with reality of things and balance those two. So that self talk's constantly at odds with each other, and so it's interesting to be able to utilize some of the tools that we use in our solution focused approach with our clients every day in that self talk conversation. And so I know some of the tools that I use a lot, and some of those items with being able to, like I said, at least so far right now, some of those little phrases that crack the door open for possibility.
Right, right. Those little phrases I call them kind of back of the pocket phrases. You keep them in the back pocket, just whip them out. Yeah, and those come out of Marty Seligman's work. He was president of American Psychological Association, founder of
Positive
positive
psychology.
psychology, and he talks about what really dooms us is when we think in ways that are pervasive, permanent, or personal. Pervasive, all or never. No, all or nothing. Permanent is always or never. I always do that, or she never does that. And personal, I didn't get invited to the party because they hate me. Well, maybe they just didn't have room and they were required to invite their cousins and their brothers and sisters. So, and the self-talk, you can hear yourself, oh, I never could get that right, or I never remember people's names, or I always, whatever, goof up this. And so that's one way we can catch ourselves and modify that with those words that you just said. So repeat them.
At least I didn't do that badly. I'm like, because as an entrepreneur, I screw up all day, every day. Something happens that I don't do exactly way I'd imagine. So it's that, at least I did this, or this is a classic one. The to-do list is never done. And that's what I like the to-done list, but and that's, switching that self-talk to what I've done. So at least I got through this, and this. That's, oh my God, that's a magic one for the day and the week, because there's way more things to do than there's time for. So at least right now, so I'm not good at that right now so far. Yeah. Right now so far, and
Not
I think
yet. I haven't
not
gotten
yet.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that right now came up in a call that we did recently with somebody who was, and I hear this all the time. People get really anxious about the future. Please, their talk is kind of like the dreaded future, but what about in 2 weeks? And you can get really overwhelmed. Like, well, what if way into the future? And that's where right now can help bring it down and be very grounding. Right now, what, what is the one thing I can do right now that's going to be different?
Yeah, that right now, that's what moves you forward in the moment and takes you. You have to move forward to get out of that dreaded future. Like, you have to just take one step forward, and that's the right now is a powerful part of that phrasing.
Yeah. And we're doing our conflict resolution quest right now, and I think that applies so much to conflicts between people, arguments, who takes out the groceries, and here's where we can generalize. You never do this, you always do that. You want to resolve a conflict, do the right now. What's the problem right now? What do I want right now? And sometimes it's just, you know what? I realize I'm just really tired right now and grumpy. So I'm probably complaining about XYZ because I'm just tired right now. Let's return to this tomorrow morning after we both had good sleep. And then it's like, well, what's the problem?
These phrases open up like I said, open up possibility, because as you were talking with those examples, like the ones that, where you just say the absolutes. I can't remember the exact terminology you
Permanent,
said.
pervasive, and personal.
Permanent, pervasive, and personal. Permanent, pervasive, and personal. Yeah, that those stop all possibility. You're just like, okay, this is a fixed position that goes fixed to growth mindset. Goes back to the Carol Dweck work you mentioned before, and just those simple phrases open up that possibility and allow you to have more options to consider.
Right. Now, here's the thing is that we think, okay, so this isn't helpful, this kind of self talk, so we need to change it or correct it. And I think that's really a big trap and danger because we aren't just a
Also,
single.
or what examples can you give?
It's because our minds go by themselves. We really can't control what happens in our mind. You go to sleep tonight and you wake up at 2 a.m. going, oh, why did I say that thing? Or why did I do this? That mind is just going. And I think people who do meditation very sensitized, they're sensitized to that thing. You can't control your mind. You can do what you can control your response to what your mind's saying. And we're multiple consciousnesses. We know from a lot of recent research that we're not just kind of one, we're not the same person, a single kind of unified consciousness. We can be looking when we're observing ourselves, like pretend you're a fly on the wall looking at yourself. Well, that's a whole different kind of
Perspective.
consciousness, right? And so that person who says, I'll never get it. It's only one part of you. There's another
Yeah.
part of you. So you may not be able to crush that person inside you that, whoever know, well, from whatever origin my teacher told me, my parent told me, still there. You're not going to get rid of it. It's the past though. So what are you going to do now? And what part of you, that adult, grown up, mature, more compassionate, caring, clear part of, adult in you can do something different?
Yeah, and that's the part where I used to say before, where I have to, for an entrepreneur, you have to be both visionary about the future and be optimistic about the future at the same time. There's practical things you need to do. Those are two different, like I said, perspectives or consciousness that you're trying to be at the same time. And obviously, there's other ones, but neither of them are wrong. Neither of them are right. They are all the thoughts that come into you. So I don't think what you're getting at is we don't have to fix these
No.
thoughts.
And you can't. You just can't. And that's, I think, it's not an error in your thinking. It's how you think. The question is, does it work for you to get where you want? If it doesn't work for you, then do something different. And it doesn't mean that you have to wipe it out. It just says from here on out, what do you want? How do you want to live? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in the world? And what does that mean in the practical terms? So
Yeah.
if I'm bad at people's names, remembering people's names, I bring that up because I say, oh, I'm bad at remembering people's names.
Everyone
How,
says that one. Yeah.
what?
You hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I imagine going to a party and, and saying, okay, well, and here's the thing, I don't have to change being bad. I can just say, okay, but what do I want instead, and what difference will it make? Well, and even if I'm still bad at people's names, how do I still want to be showing up? Well, ultimately, I want to be respectful of people. And what meaning does it have if I were to remember that? Well, I'd be respectful, could be, I could show them I'm really listening, paying attention, kind, whatever. But I can do that. And even if I do forget the names, I can say, I'm so sorry. I love talking to you. I just simply don't remember your name. Can you remind me? And then it is what it is, but you are the person that you want to be.
I
Kind.
find it. I mean, just for the aside on that one, I find when you first meet someone, you have that thing, and our brains are just trying to analyze threats, so we can't remember the name immediately. I remember, if you, like you said, you have a great conversation, like, what's your name again? And then I say, oh, my name's Glenn. 9 times out of 10, they forgot your name too. So I repeat it back right away. Oh, my name is Glenn. Like, oh yeah, and either say, oh yeah, I got it, or if they want to do that or remember that. But it's that's the side.
That's funny. Yeah, that's
The
right. But I want to, yeah. So you know what? It goes two ways. So when you're kinder to yourself and you're authentic and you're in the moment, you're not beating yourself up. You're just there, more accepting of who you are. Then people respond that way. That is a generous thing you can do for other people.
Oh, that's fantastic. Another thing I was thinking about too is when the self-talk I have when I'm running long distance, like, but not generally, but when I'm racing, more specifically when I'm racing, when I'm running, it's actually good to have all the thoughts go through you, right? You're kind of cycling through them and processing through them. Or if I'm doing long distance cycling or something like that, just letting them go. But when I'm racing, I want to stay in the moment. The time is the time. That's whatever it is. I view success when I'm racing as, did I stay present through the race, through the entire race? Was I not just going into catastrophizing or letting my brain go off? Oh my God, this much hurts so much. Having that self-talk that is not helping. Do I stay present in there? And my notice when I notice is, oh, is that thought helping me right now? No. Then okay, then let it go. And that's it's being practiced in a race. At the same time, it's a good thing to practice in general. I notice that. Is this helping with what outcome I want to have, how I want to show up, what difference is it going to make for me? No, it's not. Then let it go.
Yeah. And then the question is, what do you do instead of that?
Yeah. Well, in running, it's pretty straightforward. I go, just focus on putting the one flag in front of the other. So I can, because I'm in moment and movement there. And in other cases, well, if I'm working, it's to focus back on the next task that I have at hand. What can I do right now that can be help with how I want to make this day successful? It goes back into making what do you want to Well, how would you define success today? How would you define success over the week? How would you, so just being aware of consciousness, defining that, writing it down, put it on your sticky note or whatever. So you keep going back to, oh, this is what today's number one thing I want to make today successful. If nothing else, at least I did that. So that helps refocus.
Right. And then one thing I found myself saying to myself, and we've used it a few times, is what would I be pleased to see myself having done today? So, and that when I said that pleased, it like put a smile on my face. What would I have done today that would make me look back over the day, the end of the day, and smile? And that emotion, you talked about emotion driving behavior, and that made a difference to me. And so one of the lessons I think is to play with how to think differently. What works for you? And you use that. Does this work or does it not work? And keep playing and experimenting until you find, is it that, would I be pleased? Would I put a smile on my face? Would I feel success? Whatever it is, doesn't matter, but it's what works for you.
We also talk about not making whatever you're saying or your thoughts or your statements your identity, separating yourself from it. One of the techniques in our approach is to asking, what would other people notice about you if you were changing? What would other people notice for you? In a self-talk standpoint, we talk about naming that emotion or that statement, like the anxiety or the procrastination pickle, to separate yourself from it. And so that does two things that stood out for me. Is one is that gives you some humor. It makes you laugh at yourself a little bit, which is very, very useful. And also then it's not your identity. So you can talk a little bit more about those two.
Right. And they're two different things. So I want to make sure that people know that these are really two different things. So one is to externalize your problem. So instead of becoming enmeshed in, I'm nervous, I have to give a talk and, I'm nervous and that is your identity. That's how you see your world, is to separate by actually calling it something other than I am nervous, but the nervousness. I notice that nervous feeling coming up in me. So it's no longer your identity, it's a feeling. And then going a step farther, calling that feeling something, adding the humor, as you said, is, nervous Nelly. So now I can talk about my nervousness divorced or separate from my core identity. Nervous Nelly is showing up again because I have to give that talk in 2 hours. And then you can work with Nervous Nelly. You can negotiate with Nervous Nelly. Could say, Nervous Nelly, I appreciate that you're here because you really want to do a good job, and you're afraid that might not happen. But
Helping
I
me
assure
focus.
right. I assure you, I practiced enough, and I appreciate what you're trying to do for me right now. I'm going to read my script one more time and go out there and do a great job. So that's externalizing. The other thing about using other people is to reinforce what you do want and the person you do want to be. So then the question is, so when I am showing up as confident, whatever your name is. Okay. So in my case, confident Deborah, when I'm showing up that way to do my speech, what do other people notice about me that tells them, hey, she put Nervous Nelly in the chair in the closet and she's coming out as confident Deborah? What would they notice? Even the tiniest thing that would tell them. Because when you're able to look at yourself through other people's eyes in ways that reflect what you're capable of, it's reinforcing to you.
Oh, that's excellent, and probably a good place for us to wrap up here now in this conversation. I always like to give you a final word, though. Is there anything else you wanted to impart for people as they consider their self-talk?
Play with it. Have fun with it. It isn't sacred. It can change. It doesn't have to change. You actually can let it just be there and look forward to what you do want and how you'll be, what will be different when you are your better self or you're in your better future, and talk to yourself from that place.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Teplow.
Thank you.
So if you like this video and you want to learn more about solution focused strategies, every week hit the like and subscribe button. It helps with the algorithm, as you know. And we also have a great ebook called The 29 Laws of Resilience, and you can download that put the link in the comments and in the description. And if you want a complimentary coaching session and learn more about our unique solution focused approach, visit staminalab.io. And leave your questions and comments below. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Until next time, remember, you are your own lab, you are your own experiment, and you are your own best coach. Be well.